Paul, your senator, a great warrior.
President Trump has great courage. He faces down the fake media every day. But Congress needs to step up and have equal courage to defend the president. Hunter Biden made $50,000 a month. That's the definition of corruption. We know he got it only because of his family connections. We also now know the name of the whistleblower. The whistleblower needs to come before Congress as a material witness because he worked for Joe Biden at the same time Hunter Biden was getting money from corrupt oligarchs. I say tonight to the media, do your job and print his name. To my fellow colleagues in Congress, to every Republican in Washington, step up and subpoena Hunter Biden and subpoena the whistleblower. And I say to my colleagues, if Shifty Schiff will not let Hunter Biden come, and if he will not bring the whistleblower forward, every Republican in Congress should take a walk and say, this is a farce.
Excellent. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great job. He's a warrior. He's a warrior. I've always said it. In their crazed thirst for power, the Democrats are trying to tear our country apart. First, Democrats engineered the Russia hoax, the most egregious fraud ever foisted upon the American people, the Russian hoax. Then they did the Mueller scam. You remember that, the Mueller scam. 2 years and they said nothing. And then Mr. Mueller testified. That was a wonderful day for me. And you remember last week, I don't know Tulsi Gabbard, but Hillary Clinton said that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian agent. I don't know Jill Stein. She's a greenie, and that's fine. She's a greenie, Jill Stein. But Jill Stein was an agent of Russia also. These people are crazy. Now corrupt politicians, Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, they are corrupt. And Nancy, unlike Kentucky, which is doing great, Nancy ought to stop wasting time, go back to her district in San Francisco, help the homeless, get rid of the drugs, get rid of the needles that are lying all over the street, and all of the things that are washing into the ocean through their storm sewer system. What's happened to San Francisco and what's happened to so many other places run by the radical left Democrats, it's unbelievable. Los Angeles. You take a look at Los Angeles. Looks like a third world city. But go back to Nancy's area, look at what's happened. There's been no place in the country that's gone down like the area that Nancy Pelosi represents. And she's wasting all of her time. And you know what? It's backfiring. You see it. But the media and the Democrats have launched an even more brazen assault on our nation with a deranged, hyper-partisan impeachment witch-hunt. Impeachment. So today, we just hit the highest number in the history of the stock market, and that's hundreds of days. Just recently, very slow, Sleepy Joe, Biden that is, said of China's piracy and plunder, they're not that bad, folks. He always used the word folks. I watched him today. He used the word folks. Hi, folks. Hi, my time is up. I gotta leave. Now they have him all freaked out because he makes a mistake every time he speaks. So I can just see these handlers, because they're handlers. Like they use on horses, they're handlers, right? All right, get him off now. He's been up there long enough. So they're screaming, get off, get off. Sleepy Joe, get off the stage. Please, please, Joe, you're doing fine. Joe, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. And then he goes, I love being in Ohio. But he was in Iowa yesterday, you see. And they say, damn it, he should have left sooner. We told him, get off the stage, Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe, get off the damn stage. But he said about Sleepy Joe, about China, they're not that bad, folks. They're not really competition for us. No, they're not. $500 billion a year, right? He did nothing in 8 years, him and Obama. In fact, I'm here because of them when you think about it, right? I'm here because of them. Now, but think of it, as somebody saying that. Now look, the $1.5 billion that Hunter, who got thrown out of the Navy, who had no experience, who had done anything, got a lot of money from Ukraine, but got $1.5 billion from China. I gotta tell you, I've been negotiating with China, they're very tough. That is not the same group of Chinese people that I've been negotiating with. They gave him $1.5 billion. He'll make millions and millions with that. And how about saying, by the way, Mr. President, would you please take over the negotiations that President Trump is no longer handling? Guess what? You would be sold down the tube so fast. And we're so close. China wants to make a deal so badly. I think they'd love to see another president. I think, they would like to see another president more than crooked Hillary would, okay? Can you imagine if they ever took over negotiations of this deal, which is going to be one of the greatest deals ever made? Has to be. Because we started down here and they were up there. Has to be. Can you imagine if they ever took over negotiations? This is what China would love more than anything else. It's not going to happen, folks, because we can't let our country go back to hell. We can't do it. We can't let it happen. Because the Bidens got rich while America was robbed. And let me tell you, the fake news will not put it in. I watched the last debate, and this weakling named Anderson Cooper saying, well, it's totally unsubstantiated. Mr. Biden, it's totally unsubstantiated. What's unsubstantiated? He is on tape doing a real quid pro quo. Sir, it's totally unsubstantiated, sir. I've never seen anything like it. Could you imagine if I did what he did? Could you imagine if Don Jr. or Eric Trump walked out of China while I was, let's say, vice president or president? Let's say they walked out of China with 1.5 billion. Do you think the press would be saying, well, it's unsubstantiated? No, it's something. Let me just tell you something. These people, not all of them, but these people are very dishonest people, okay? Very, very dishonest people. But under this administration, the great betrayal is over. America is not for sale. And we're more determined than ever to drain the swamp. And that's what we're doing with these crazy people. A lot of bad things happened, and a lot of bad things, I think, are going to be revealed, because there's no way we can allow them to get away with what they would have with a normal person gotten away with. Let's face it, these are bad people. Thanks to my tariffs, we will soon have over $100 billion from a country that didn't want to do anything with us. And I'll tell you, they started buying our farm product. You see that? They started buying a lot of our product, even before the deals are done. Last year, I got our farmers $16 billion because they were targeted. And the year before, I got them $12 billion. I just took them out of the tariff, so we had a lot left over. And I said, congratulations, farmers. I love you. I love our farmers. They love me. That's why they did. They targeted our farmers. I said, congratulations. That's compliments of China. And they do. They want to make a deal so badly. Frankly, honestly. They want to make a deal a lot more than I want to make a deal. That's the way it is, because we're doing very well right now with China. We're replacing the NAFTA disaster with the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, a huge win for Kentucky farmers, for Kentucky auto workers, for Kentucky manufacturers. Unfortunately, Nancy Pelosi so far and the do-nothing Democrats don't want to give the people of our country a victory. It's really, let it be a bipartisan deal. I don't care. It's such an incredible deal for this country. And NAFTA was one of the worst deals ever made. Democrats need to pass the USMCA. We need their votes. Otherwise, you can't pass it. And it's up to Pelosi, who has to put it forward, but she's too busy wasting her time. So either pass it or go back to San Francisco and clean up your mess.
We begin with a massive breaking development from investigative reporter John Solomon. Well, creepy, sleepy, crazy Uncle Joe Biden is in serious hot water. We were right. According to Solomon, Hunter Biden was in fact peddling his influence, and we now have access to damning new documents tonight showing how Hunter's company, Ukrainian oil and gas giant Burisma Holdings, they used Hunter Biden, the vice president's son at the time, the guy in charge of Ukraine at the time, to try and win special favor from the Obama administration. Look at this. February 2016, just 1 month before then Vice President Biden leveraged $1 billion of your tax dollars in U.S. aid to force Ukraine to fire a prosecutor who was investigating Burisma Holdings and his son, the millions of dollars that his son was paid with zero experience in energy, Ukraine, gas, and oil. A representative for the company was communicating with the Obama State Department, we learned tonight. According to these newly unearthed emails, courtesy of John Solomon and a Freedom of Information Act request, the Burisma rep was lobbying the Obama administration to end corruption allegations against their company, even noting that, quote, 2 high-profile U.S. citizens are affiliated with the company, including Hunter Biden as a board member. Now, that's just 1 month later, the vice president tells the country of Ukraine. Why would a vice president of the United States ever want a prosecutor of Ukraine fired? Fire the prosecutor in 6 hours, or you won't get the $1 billion. Don't believe me? Call Obama. That is a Joe quid pro quo bragging about it on tape. And for good measure, let's remind you of him bragging in his own words. Take a look.
We're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. I think it was, 6 hours? I looked at it, I said, we're leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
Son of a B. Quid pro quo Joe. That is called a shakedown. And calling the compromised, corrupt coward and congenital liar Adam Schiff, hey, Adam, there is your quid pro quo. On tape. He's bragging about it. Now, Burisma name drops Hunter Biden to the State Department of Obama, and poof, a month later, the prosecutor investigating Hunter Biden and that company paying him millions with no background or experience after Biden leveraged $1 billion of our tax dollars. He's done. Did Hunter have experience with oil and gas? No. Experience with energy? None. Did he have experience in Ukraine? None. But it was his father who was the second most powerful elected official in the United States of America, the vice president of the United States, and in charge of American policy in Ukraine. Now that's called, well, pick your choice. Influence peddling, buying favor. What other possible reason could there be a vice president demanding a Ukrainian prosecutor being fired or you don't get the $1 billion? Plain and simple. Even Hunter Biden could not deny this obvious fact. This has to be the dumbest interview I've ever seen a 49-year-old give in my life. Watch this.
You didn't have any extensive knowledge about natural gas or Ukraine itself, though.
No, but I think that I had as much knowledge as anybody else that was on the board, if not more.
In the list that you gave me of the reasons why you're on that board, you did not list the fact that you were the son of the vice president.
Yeah, no.
What role do you think that played?
I think that it is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the vice president of the United States.
If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked to be on the board of Burisma?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden.
No experience? Probably not. They probably wouldn't have paid him millions and millions of dollars. Looks like Burisma's significant multi-million-dollar investment, though, in Hunter Biden paid off in a very big way. They also got, by the way, Hunter, $1.5 billion private equity deal with the Bank of China 10 days after flying with his dad to China. Zero experience in China. We can't find any experience in private equity either. Would any other American get this deal? No. This stinks to high heaven. Joe 30330 says, oh, they never discussed this? Really? If you didn't discuss it, why did you leverage $1 billion tax dollars to fire the guy investigating your son? I don't believe you. And it doesn't end there. Another email shows Hunter Biden scored a one-on-one meeting with then Deputy Secretary of State Tony Blinken just 1 month after starting his cushy gig with Burisma Holdings in 2015. And in March of 2016, we learned tonight, Hunter's business partner and fellow Burisma board member Devin Archer scored a meeting with Secretary of State John Kerry. It's so nice to know people in high places. This is the behind-the-scenes look. It reveals a level of sick nepotism and influence peddling. It is repulsive and should disgust every American. The American people get it. The media mob, all they do is run defense for the Bidens. That's equally repulsive and sick, and it shows you who the media is. Now, the president raised this in a speech tonight. Would they make these excuses up if it was Donald Trump Jr. with no experience being paid millions? I doubt it. And according to Fox News legal analyst, pay close attention, and Greg Jarrett will join us in a minute, Biden's actions could be criminal. Greg Jarrett, look at your screen. He has identified the laws that seem extremely applicable to all of us. Oh, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, 15 U.S.C. 78, quote, it is illegal for a U.S. person to coerce or influence through bribery or extortion a foreign nation into taking action. Firing prosecutor might financially benefit that person, his family, or business. Hunter, oh, that seems to fit. And according to Greg Jarrett, if Vice President Biden used his public office, VP, to influence or coerce a foreign official into taking official action that benefited Biden's son, and Biden has broken the law likely. And that's not all. Bribery, 18 U.S.C. 201C. Whoever corruptly gives, offers, promises anything of value, $1 billion, to a public official to influence an official act, fire him. Is guilty of bribery. Fire the guy, you get $1 billion. Uh-oh again. How about the Gratuities Act, 18 U.S.C. 201B? Giving, offering, or promising anything of value to a public official, Ukraine, $1 billion, in exchange for any official act. Fire him, 6 hours. Whoops, looks bad. And look at the Hobbs Act, 18 U.S.C. 1951. A threat to a foreign official in order to obtain an official benefit affecting interstate or foreign commerce would constitute extortion. I'll let law enforcement do their jobs, but I think we now need an official criminal investigation opened here. It almost looks to me like a Biden criminal enterprise, but what do I know? I'm just a talk show host and a member of the press. Now, it might have something to do, I would have something to do with it if I were the prosecutor. There you have it. Biden, right at the top, the second most powerful person in the country. His son raking in millions of dollars from all over the world with no experience. The easy gig on the board of Burisma Holdings. No other American's going to get that deal. No other American's getting $1.5 billion private equity deal with the Bank of China with no experience. Maybe Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs. They might be more suitable candidates for such a deal with the Bank of China. And meanwhile, the media mob, the willing accomplices, stepping all over themselves, trying to protect the Bidens. Now, for years, they simply looked the other way, ignored this massive scandal, just like they always protected the Clintons. And for months now, they have been trying to cover it all up, telling you, oh, it's all disproven conspiracy theory. No, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing. American people are smarter. Democrats on the Hill, even Biden's 2020 opponents, they're doing everything in their power to protect Biden, all while launching a baseless witch hunt against Donald Trump, all surrounding the same country of Ukraine, and he didn't get anything. That's how morally bankrupt, that's how intellectually lazy, that's how compromised, that's how corrupt, and that's how hypocritical you have to be either a Democrat or part of the lying mob in the media. It only makes sense that their de facto leader is that guy, he is a corrupt, compromised, coward, and congenital liar. He's been lying to us for 3 years. His name, Adam Schiff. And a fake, phony, whistleblower, hearsay whistleblower, who's refusing to come out of the shadows, and he won't bring him in. Why? Because he had contact. He's compromised and a fact witness. We'll have more of all those coming up. Part 2 of my monologue in a second. With reaction, House Intelligence Ranking Member, Congressman Devin Nunes. Now, by the way, this resolution that they passed last week, to be clear, Adam Schiff is judge, jury, executioner, and he makes all the decisions, so it's the appearance of fairness, but offering none of the considerations Newt Gingrich offered Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton's counsel, and the Democrats in 1998, correct?
That's exactly correct, Sean. There is nothing new, nothing's changed over from what we've been seeing the last 6 weeks. This essentially is just all the Democrats, or enough of them, all but 2 Democrats in the House, voted specifically to make Adam Schiff the king of this, or the king inquisitor for their cult that they've been going on here for the last really the last 3 years.
I hear my little birdie sources. I actually make phone calls, and I have sources. Hannity's name keeps showing up. That's because Hannity works hard as a member of the press and trying to dig out information from anybody who'll give it to me. That's my job. Here's what I want to ask you, though.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Hold on, Sean. I think first of all, I want to congratulate you, okay? And John Solomon specifically. So for all they've been saying is that John Solomon has been peddling conspiracy theories. Tonight's report is really the cherry on top of what you have had the guts to put John Solomon and his reporting on your show night after night. The common theme, this is what's going on behind closed doors. The common theme that the bureaucrats who are targeting the president, who come in there to the transcripts you saw today, but one of the common themes is they don't like John Solomon's reporting on your show. We even had one of the lawyers complain about the Republicans and about Fox News in one of these Adam Schiff show hearings that we've been having.
know, look, this is my job. We do investigative reporting, we do straight news, we do opinion, we do sports and culture. We're like the whole newspaper. And I am up front, I'm a conservative. Let me ask you about Biden. Congressman, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a prosecutor. I wouldn't want to be Joe or Hunter Biden based on the laws identified by Greg Jarrett.
Look, it looks pretty clear, Sean, now that you see the emails, you see the timing. I would say, and you'll ask Greg Jarrett this, I'm sure, but what you have now is you have the beginnings and the building of evidence, of circumstantial evidence that there was a crime here. The timing is very suspicious, and I think that's what you're looking at.
Nancy Pelosi said, the smoking gun is the transcript, okay? President says, can you do me a favor? I thought Democrats cared about election interference. He's saying Ukraine, a court decision in Ukraine said they interfered in our election to help Hillary. We know that there are other engagements. They admitted it. Even Politico wrote about it January 11, 2017, and they were affected. So the president, to me, is basically, when you read the transcript, he's saying get to the bottom of it. That would be faithfully executing the laws. And how could you not look at what Joe Biden said and no experienced son getting millions and not say, holy, we need to investigate that. That looks like he's faithfully executing the laws again.
And it's more than that. The mainstream media continues to ignore this. They do not want this out there. That's why they claim it's a conspiracy theory, and they don't like Solomon's reporting. They don't like what you're doing. But these are the facts. It would be dereliction of duty for the president's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, to not go to Ukraine to figure out what on earth were the Democrats doing in Ukraine, paying for dirt from Ukrainian officials to dirty up the Trump campaign in 2016. It would also be dereliction of duty for me and my committee not to be meeting with Ukrainians looking for information as to where did Nellie Orr come up with this information to put in the Steele dossier that ended up in the FBI? Who is this person, Alexander Chalupa? Who are these people? So the president had every right to look at it, and now what you're beginning to see is the reason they're trying to hide this is because what John Solomon has now uncovered, there clearly is a tie to the Bidens in the State Department.
And by the way, yeah, we had a DNC operative in the Ukrainian embassy colluding with Ukraine to get dirt on Trump to help Hillary. You have been amazing. Will Adam Schiff, will he be subpoenaed?
Well, I don't think we can't subpoena. Only Adam Schiff can subpoena Adam Schiff.
Oh, I guess that's
but there's a precedent for this.
Darn, I forgot. He's the judge, jury, and executioner. I forgot.
But remember, last Congress, they were hell-bent on making sure that former Congressman Dana Rohrabacher testified. I said, look, I don't think this is a very good idea to turn around and have members of Congress come and testify and give depositions. So congratulations, Democrats that were on the House Intelligence Committee that's now become the Impeachment Committee. They have set the precedent for members of Congress to give depositions. And so you heard our minority leader, the Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, say that Schiff is our first witness. You've had John Ratcliffe, a former U.S. attorney in Congress, say Adam Schiff is our first witness. So yes, he in fact is going to be our first witness that we're going to ask to come and give a deposition.
Congressman, you've been doing amazing work. We're getting the FISA report, behind that the Durham report, and we will get to the bottom of this too. Thank you for all you've done. You have been amazing.
Breaking tonight, Hunter Biden and the Ukrainian gas company pressured the Obama administration in 2016 to end corruption allegations against them. That, according to new reporting from investigative journalist and Fox News contributor John Solomon, who joins us now, along with Dan Bongino, Fox News contributor, author of the book Exonerated, which has a chapter dedicated to the Bidens in Ukraine. All right, John, what else can you tell us tonight? This is Blockbuster.
Yeah, it's a real simple story, right? Hunter Biden gets his job in Ukraine while his dad's overseeing Ukraine policy. He starts working his dad's contacts at the State Department, Tony Blinken, one of the closest advisors to Joe Biden in their entire lifetime. He has a few meetings with him in 2015. Something big happens in Ukraine, 2016. Ukraine prosecutors raid Hunter Hunter Biden's boss's home. February 2016. A few weeks later, Hunter Biden's lobbyists are at the State Department saying, you need to stop these corruption allegations. Hunter Biden's on the board. We need your help. A couple days after that, Hunter Biden's business partner meets with John Kerry. And then not too long after that, Joe Biden fires a Ukraine prosecutor that he knows was investigating his son's company. That's it in a nutshell.
Wow, Dan, Biden's like, well, I didn't know anything about this. This is all a big conspiracy theory. They have all these friends in the media who are out there trashing Solomon's reporting, and he reminded me, like, he was a 100 front-page stories for the Washington Post when he worked for the Washington Post. They loved him then, but now he's looking into something else, and suddenly, we can't trust this.
It's fascinating. I mean, listen, they can call it a conspiracy theory all they want. It's certainly a conspiracy, but it's not a theory. Listen, I follow John's work and admire it, and I've been following it for a very long time. John has government documents from Ukraine, legal teams for Burisma, their own documents indicating that everything the Democrats are telling you, and by Democrats I mean the media too, about this case is not true. I mean, think about it. One of the myths he debunked last week in one of his stories, which I read, John, well done, was that the Burisma case was closed down. So don't worry, Joe Biden couldn't have been influencing the case because the case wasn't open. That's just not true. I mean, that's not backed up by actual facts, Laura. And the media, which previously was interested in this case, Politico and even the Washington Post at one point, before Biden became a candidate, now mysteriously that Biden's a threat to Trump, or they perceive him to be a threat to Trump, has backed off their coverage.
Now, it's a stunner. I mean, there aren't many reporters left who don't have a severe political bias one way or another. And also not pointing out the obvious. Adam Schiff today complaining that the Trump administration deep six Marie Yovanovitch, Ukraine ambassador. Watch.
Ambassador Yovanovitch had a well-earned reputation as a fighter of corruption. What does this irregular back channel sanctioned by the president do? It seeks to remove someone fighting corruption in Ukraine by employing a vicious smear campaign in which the State Department at the highest levels acknowledged had no merit whatsoever.
Trump had no right. Apparently, he had put his own person in.
Apparently, the president doesn't have the power to appoint his own people anymore, if you believe that soundbite. Let me tell you what I know. March of this year, I pick up a phone call. It's a career diplomat. Someone who's been a career diplomat their whole life. They said, you won't believe what the Ukraine ambassador just did. There's an election in Ukraine in 3 weeks, and she just gave a speech calling for the removal of an official in Ukraine. That's against the Foreign Affairs Manual. So I start digging into Marie Yovanovitch. Who is this person? It is kind of interesting she did this. I find out in 2018, Pete Sessions, the chairman of a House committee, writes a letter to Mike Pompeo. She's bad-mouthing Donald Trump. I look, and her embassy is funding George Soros's groups in Ukraine. George Soros is sort of an ideologue. You go through all these things. There's a big body record about her, a record that shows she's not aligned with the president. The president didn't need any reason at all to fire her. It's a contrived argument.
Dan, we hear this time and again. People buried into the deep state at the State Department or in the intel community still working against this president's interests. That's not a conspiracy. John knows it. I know it. Your thoughts. Close it out.
Well, I was given credible information, I'm sure from some of the same people John may be talking to a while ago, that Yovanovitch was in fact doing that, was bad-mouthing the president elected by the people, and that the do not prosecute list, there may be some merit to that. And it's certainly worth entertaining. If Marie Yovanovitch and George Kemp had anything to do with a list of people who should not be touched by the local Justice Department, then it's worth looking into. But it's always a conspiracy theory if it affects Donald Trump in a negative way. So it's not real reporting.
Guys, thank you so much.
We sit back, we listen. And I say, these people are something wrong with them. They... Only in Kentucky can somebody be so precise. You are right about that.